Welcome to the Mac and Cheese Lab. Going to start by getting all of our ingredients together. A couple things to note. You need to use sharp cheddar cheese, not medium or mild, and you want to use whole milk so that you get a really good, thick, creamy cheese sauce on your mac and cheese, okay? When we start, we're going to put 1 cup of water into our saucepan. The ingredients call for 1 3/4 cups. The 3/4 cups comes later. We're going to add our 1.5 cups of whole milk. We're going to add in our macaroni, which is about 4 ounces or half of a 454-gram package. And then you're going to also add in your salt and your pepper, which I forgot to film, but I did do there. Temperature for your burner is going to be a little bit above medium, probably 1 number higher than medium. And you're going to need to remember to stir frequently. You are working with milk and you're heating it up. Milk will burn. So if you don't stir things every, say, 30 seconds or so, then you'll find that your macaroni and your milk burns onto the bottom. And it doesn't take long for the steam to start to rise off of it and for the liquid to start to move in the pot. You'll see that it starts to bubble a little bit underneath the surface, and then those bubbles will come to the surface, and you want to keep stirring it every so often, gently too. Don't stir violently, just gently go all around the outside of the pot and across the middle so that none of the spots get left to stick on. As you're stirring, once it starts to bubble all the time continuously, like it is in the video, then you need to stir constantly, all the time, like all the time. Keep stirring gently around the outsides of the pot and across the bottom in the center, and making sure that your macaroni and cheese isn't sticking on anywhere. You're also going to set a timer for 8 to 10 minutes, which is about the length of time it takes the pasta to cook, and you're going to reduce your temperature a little bit, probably to just above medium, like a tiny smidge above medium. If it stops the boiling motion, if the bubbles are no longer coming to the surface, then you've turned the temperature down too much and you'll need to turn it back up. If it starts to bubble and boil like it's going to come out of the pot, then your temperature is way too high and you'll definitely want to turn that down. So stirring continuously, slow, gentle stirring motion. And what you'll notice is as the macaroni cooks, it's soaking up the water that's in the pot. So every so often, when you notice that there's more macaroni than liquid, you can add in another about 1/4 cup of water at a time. If we dump it all in at once, then it's going to cool the temperature of the whole pot, and you're going to notice that your macaroni sort of stops boiling. So you want to make sure that you are adding it a little bit at a time. While your head chef is mastering the macaroni, your prep chef can get the breadcrumb topping ready. So you want to put in a lightly sprayed pan a small amount of your breadcrumbs, and then you're going to pop them in the oven at about 350 degrees. You want to give them a little shake around partway through before you pop them back in the oven. That makes sure they get fully coated and everyone gets, good and toasted. Now back to the macaroni, you'll notice that all of the liquid is starting to absorb. I've used my 3/4 cup of water at this point. So now it's about 9 minutes in on my 10-minute timer. I'm just going to check my macaroni. It's a little hard to get a single piece on a fork, but I'm going to get a single piece and I'm going to eat it to see if it's the texture that I like my macaroni cooked to. If it's not soft enough, I can let it cook a little bit longer. If it's soft enough, I can remove it from the heat and move on to the next step. And it is really important that you take your macaroni off of the heat and put it on top of your trivet. You guys have metal ones. They're in the last drawer with the oven mitts usually. And you're going to pop your macaroni pot on top of that trivet on the counter. The trivet protects the countertop from the heat. We're going to start adding our cheese now, about 1/3 cup at a time. You don't have to measure. You can just take about 1/3 of what you have there and dump it in. The reason we take the pot off the heat is that cheese actually melts better with indirect heat as opposed to being over the burner. And I'm just going to stir in that third of my cheese and stir it till it's all mostly melted. And then I'm going to go ahead and continue to add cheese about 1/3 cup at a time until my entire cup or so of cheese has been added. Once you've got all your cheese stirred and melted into your macaroni, then it's time to add the remaining few ingredients. The recipe calls for a small amount of garlic powder and or mustard powder. Those are optional. You can taste it first. Just get a clean fork or a clean spoon and have a little bite of it before you actually add any seasoning. If you like it the way it is, great. If not, you can go ahead and try the different seasonings. Don't go too overboard on the garlic powder. I would start small and add more later if you decide you want to. You can also add a little more salt and pepper if you feel that you need it. And then it's ready for you to serve it up. Just divide it up evenly. It should make about 4 portions, and they're pretty good sized portions. Once you've got it in the bowl, if you want to, you can sprinkle a little extra cheddar cheese on top because, not sure there's such a thing as too much cheese for some people. And then a few of your nice toasted breadcrumbs that you put together earlier on, they can go on top as well. And that'll make it a little bit crispy crunchy if you prefer that for your mac and cheese. And that's it, Cardinals. 1 pot mac and cheese ready to enjoy.